Hello there. Well, there you have it. The full-on circle of stupidity of the clown world we live in. What is wrong with people? We used to do forestry and agricultural management to make the best of the environment. But then we were told that is extremely bad for the environment, and rewilding became the new mantra. Let nature take its course, we were told. Humans must not interfere. And rewilding schemes built up everywhere, and forests were left to get on with it. But now we're coming full circle, and we hear that Bill Gates has been investing in a company that has been secretly trialling their concept of saving the planet. Basically, that of chopping down and burying trees. You know, those big carbon batteries that we were meant to be planting more and more of to save the planet by offsetting our own carbon emissions. With Forbes magazine saying, Bill Gates and other investors are betting Kodamar systems can reduce carbon dioxide in the air by chopping down and burying trees. And this is really going back to a form of forestry management. And Kodamar is a forestry management company based in the Sierra Nevada foothills town of Sonora. So they'll be clearing away dead wood and burying it, so it won't catch fire and release carbon into the air, as well as slowing down decomposition and therefore the release of carbon while it's buried. And then thin out the trees to stop fires spreading and dead wood accumulating. And all the dead wood and trees chopped down will be put into holes in the ground. Now that wood could be used for furniture and housing, like it used to be, but that does not seem to be part of the plan. In fact, the concept of using the chopped down trees productively appears to be off limits here. And one assumes this will take a lot of mechanical energy to achieve. And it also makes a bit of a nonsense about planting new trees then, doesn't it? As well as the concept of sustainable wood-burning electricity generators like the UK Drax plant. Now, if letting nature take its course is producing too much carbon, what does that tell you? Anyway, do you remember the mantra of the rainforests of the world, especially the Amazon, being the lungs of the planet, and we touch them at our peril? It now seems that's going into reverse. Now trees are carbon release and fire risks, and that must be cleared out and the trees thinned out. We're now being told that forests are overcrowded with trees. How things change, and so quickly. Straight from George Orwell's 1984. Small forests bad, big forests good. To big forest good, small forests better. But as we clear out the trees, surely we are reducing the photosynthesis potential to generate more oxygen. We were being told we needed far more trees, not fewer trees. And if we have fewer trees, it means we have a reduced capacity for natural carbon removal as part of that process. So it seems that this biomass burial thing is beginning to take off. What the experts want to do now is have trees grow and soak up carbon dioxide and emit oxygen until they get too old, then chop them down and place them in specially designed vaults that vastly reduces the rate of decomposition, so the carbon is kept out of the atmosphere for far longer than just letting it rot on the ground. It is seen as a natural form of carbon capture. But does it mean we will have to revisit all those rewilding schemes to clear out the dead and dying foliage so we can sequester it underground? And can you imagine how quickly we would run out of places to bury this stuff? Would we do the same as we do with plastics now we've run out of landfill, and send the tree waste abroad for them to deal with, where it would probably be burned for fuel anyway? but for me the whole concept just seems bizarre. And if the trees are buried and they decompose more slowly, isn't that just storing up a huge problem for the future as more and more trees are buried? Over time, the accumulated release of carbon would increase in volume. After all, it would all have to be released in the end, wouldn't it? Even if it does take thousands of years, as is being suggested. And how long will it be before some bright spark comes up with the idea of birth control for trees? Or am I that bright spark? You know, injecting trees to prevent too many of them seeding. Or pulling up and destroying every other sapling. You get the idea. Now, to be globally effective, this sounds to me like a massive project which will take huge funding and a large workforce to achieve. So, question: what happens to the wildlife that treat these areas as their home? Or will this just be another chapter in the history of humans destroying the animal environment? I wonder what animal activists will make of this, should it ever come to fruition on a large scale. And then there are the gardeners' compost heaps. All that rotting vegetation must be emitting carbon. What of them? Anyway, what all this tells me is that some scientific type has got the slide rule out and calculated that normal, natural activity is producing so much excess carbon that suppressing it can offset human emissions. And sadly, the excess deaths are still with us. And no one's talking about it. The latest ONS figures out today for the week ending the 25th of August, that's week 34, shows that there was an excess of 4.5% more people dying than expected. That's 498 people in 1 week. 498 real people more than the 5-year average. Look at this updated graph and tell me that this is not unusual. Look at the staggering excesses seen just this year. Anything above the zero line is bad news and should be addressed by the government. And the average excess this year is 6.8% over the 5-year average. So why is nothing happening? What is the cause of this? If it was the strikes or due to some other action or inaction of the Tory government, Rishi Sunak would be lambasted by the press and opposition alike. And in Wales, the excess death rate was 15.6%. Now, whatever the cause, political ineptitude, medical negligence, strikes over pay, insufficient investment, management failure, or something else they're not telling us about, then the public has the right to know. We need an investigation now to see how to bring this excess death rate down. But I somehow get the impression that the establishment blob, that's the government, the opposition, the press and the officials, just want this buried. All of them want you to ignore it. Makes it look like they are all complicit in something underhand, trying to hide something. Wonder what that could possibly be.